The early morning light touched Baghdad with a soft, golden glow. I stood on my small hotel balcony, a cup of strong, sweet tea warming my hands, and watched the city slowly wake up. The air was filled with a gentle hum, a mixture of distant calls to prayer and the first stirrings of traffic. My plan for the day was simple yet ambitious: to experience the soul of Baghdad with only $50 American in my pocket. A small budget forces you to travel like a local, to eat where they eat, to ride the buses they ride, and to see the city not as a tourist, but as a temporary resident. From my vantage point, I could see the majestic Tigris River, a ribbon of silver winding its way through the urban landscape. The scent of cardamom and freshly baked bread drifted up from the streets below, beckoning me to come and explore. With a heart full of excitement, I finished my tea and prepared to set out. My $50 adventure was about to begin, and I felt a joy that only the promise of a new day in a new land can bring. My first task was to navigate the city's transport system. Instead of taxis, I opted for a more local experience, the shared minibus. These bright red and white vans are the workhorses of Baghdad's streets, zipping through traffic with incredible skill. I flagged down a minibus heading towards the city center. The driver, a man with a kind smile and a magnificent mustache, shouted out the destination. I confirmed it with a nod and climbed aboard, squeezing into a seat between a university student and an elderly woman. The fare was astonishingly low, costing me less than $1. As the van lurched into motion, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Through the window, I saw a vibrant tapestry of life unfolding. We passed by bustling street markets and beautiful old buildings with ornate wooden balconies. After a short and exhilarating ride, I arrived near my first destination. I handed the driver my small fare, and he gave me a warm "Ahlan wa sahlan," which means welcome. My journey had only just begun, but I had already received my first gift from Baghdad, a lesson in trust and a warm, heartfelt welcome. With the morning sun climbing higher, my stomach began to rumble, signaling that it was time for breakfast. I followed my nose down a narrow side street, drawn in by the irresistible aroma of baking bread. Inside, the air was warm and filled with the delicious scent of sesame and spices. A man stood over a large, flat griddle, expertly flipping pieces of dough that puffed up into glorious golden-brown flatbreads known as samoon. The owner, a cheerful man named Ahmed, greeted me with a wide smile. He ladled a generous portion of the bean stew onto a plate, topped it with a freshly fried egg, and served it with a stack of hot, fluffy samoon. The entire meal, including a glass of sweet, hot tea, cost me only a couple of dollars. As I ate, I watched the rhythm of the little restaurant. Ahmed came over to my table and placed a small plate of sticky, sweet dates in front of me, a gift from him. This small act of generosity was a powerful reminder of the famous Iraqi hospitality. I left his restaurant not only with a full stomach, but also with a full heart, feeling deeply grateful for the kindness I had been shown. My next destination was the legendary Al-Mustansiriya Street, the historic heart of Baghdad's literary and intellectual world. The street was lined with endless stalls and shops, their shelves overflowing with books of every shape and size. I spent the next hour wandering slowly, completely captivated. The booksellers, many of whom have had their shops in the family for generations, sat proudly amongst their treasures. On Fridays, the street truly comes alive, transforming into a vibrant open-air festival of arts and ideas. I stood in a small crowd, listening to a young poet whose passionate words resonated with emotion and hope. This street is more than just a market, it is the soul of the city, beating strong. I couldn't resist buying a small souvenir. I found a stall selling beautifully illustrated postcards depicting scenes from 1001 Nights. It was a small piece of this magical place that I could take with me. As I left Al-Mustansiriya Street, I felt inspired and uplifted. From the quiet world of books, I ventured into the lively and clamorous Al-Safafir Souk, the famous coppersmith's market. The transition was immediate and dramatic. The gentle rustle of turning pages was replaced by the rhythmic and metallic sound of hammers striking copper. I walked slowly through the labyrinthine lanes, peering into the small, open-fronted workshops. Inside each one, men were hard at work, their faces illuminated by the glow of small forges. They skillfully transformed flat sheets of copper into intricate and beautiful objects. The finished products were displayed outside the workshops, their polished surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. I purchased a small, beautifully crafted teaspoon for just a few dollars. Holding it, I felt a connection to the artisan who made it and to the long line of coppersmiths who came before him. The Al-Safafir Souk was an unforgettable experience, a powerful reminder of the value of something made slowly and skillfully by human hands. The hammering of the copper market had worked up my appetite, and it was time for lunch. I found a small, busy restaurant filled with the enticing aroma of grilled meat. The menu was simple: skewers of kebab, grilled tomatoes, and fresh bread. I ordered a plate of lamb kebabs, which arrived sizzling hot from the grill. As I ate, I noticed the men sitting across from me smiling in my direction. One of them, a young man named Omar, spoke a little English and struck up a conversation. Soon, the whole table was engaged in a friendly, animated conversation. They recommended places I should visit and foods I should try. When it was time to pay, they insisted on paying for my meal. "You are a guest in our country," Omar said. "It is our honor." This was not about money. It was about a culture of hospitality that runs deep in the Iraqi soul. We parted with handshakes and warm smiles, and I left the restaurant feeling not like a tourist, but like a friend who had just shared a meal with family. This encounter cost me nothing from my $50 budget, but it enriched my journey in a way that money never could. After the lively energy of the markets and the warmth of my lunch with new friends, I felt the need for a moment of quiet contemplation. I decided to visit Al-Shahid Monument, also known as the Martyrs Monument. The monument is a stunning piece of modern architecture, a massive turquoise dome split down the middle that rises majestically from the ground. As I walked across the vast plaza towards the monument, a sense of peace and solemnity washed over me. The scale of the structure is breathtaking. Beneath the monument lies a museum, a library, and a lecture hall. Unlike the bustling city center, this area was quiet and spacious, allowing for peaceful reflection. Visiting the Al-Shahid Monument was a profoundly moving experience. It provided a different perspective on Baghdad, one that went beyond the ancient history and vibrant markets. As the afternoon began to fade, I made my way to the banks of the legendary Tigris River. I found a lovely spot on the Abu Nuwas Street Corniche, a popular promenade where families and friends gather in the evenings. The air was cooler now, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the eucalyptus trees that line the riverbank. I sat on a simple bench, watching the world go by. Fishermen in small boats, called guffas, were casting their nets into the water. Children laughed and played along the river's edge, their joyful shouts filling the air. As the sun began to set, it painted the sky in breathtaking shades of orange, pink, and purple. The golden light reflected off the surface of the Tigris, turning the water into a shimmering path of liquid gold. It was a moment of pure, simple beauty. In that quiet moment, I thought about my day in Baghdad. I had started with $50 and a heart full of curiosity. I had gained a new perspective, a collection of beautiful memories, and a deep affection for this incredible city and its people. As darkness fell completely, the city transformed once more. The streets were now illuminated by the warm glow of streetlights and the bright signs of shops and restaurants. My $50 adventure was coming to an end, but the spirit of Baghdad was still vibrantly alive all around me. I decided to spend my last few dollars on a final treat. I found a small cart selling glasses of freshly squeezed pomegranate juice. The greatest treasures of my day were not the things I bought, but the moments I experienced. The welcoming smile of the minibus driver, the generous gift of dates from the restaurant owner, the shared laughter with new friends over lunch, and the quiet beauty of the sunset over the Tigris. Baghdad had given me these gifts in abundance. As I walked back to my hotel under the starry Iraqi sky, I knew that a piece of my heart would forever remain here, in the city of peace. And I hope that one day you too might feel inspired to discover its magic for yourself.